In this video, we'll discover about how to reclaim clarity and focus. Has there been a time in your life that you knew the direction you were headed in life until something happened? This is a reality many people face in the world today. Some shocking and devastating events can occur that can make it look as though your world is crashing. Sometimes you are at fault, while in some cases, it has nothing to do with you. Either way, you can still get back to what you used to be. The tips in this chapter will help you in that regard. Forgive yourself. The first thing you need to do after you discover that you have lost focus is to let go of the past. It begins by forgiving yourself. It's natural that you feel bad about yourself and regret making the wrong decisions. However, you'll not gain anything from incessantly reprimanding yourself about the mistakes you have made in the past. You cannot make progress and reclaim clarity when you keep thinking about what could have been. You cannot bring back the past again. It's gone, and there's nothing you can do about it. So it's in your best interest to forget about it. Focus on the future. You aren't the first person to make the mistake you made. If you aren't convinced, search online. You will realize that there are many individuals that have even committed worse errors, yet they were able to retrace their steps and make the best out of their lives. Therefore, don't make a mountain out of a molehill. Don't convince yourself that your mistake is the worst in the history of human beings because it isn't true. You slipped, of course, it isn't the ideal situation. Still, the best part of your life can be ahead of you if you choose to stand up. Identify where you missed it. After forgiving yourself, the next stage is to recognize where you failed. If you don't do a proper evaluation and analysis of your past mistakes, you'll keep making the same mistake. Anyone can make a mistake, so you shouldn't make too much out of it if you fail. You shouldn't even be too perturbed when your mistakes happened around the same period. It's possible, however, you should be concerned when you make the same type of mistake. It's a sign that you're not learning from your past failures, which should give you concerns. Where did you miss it? Was it at your workplace or in your relationship? Once you identify the place, start working on making things right again. You should forgive yourself. You might also need to apologize to the people that were hurt by your actions. Let it be clear to them that you didn't want to hurt them but were carried away by your emotions or any other thing. There is no restoration without reconciliation, and reconciliation will be difficult when you're not ready to admit that you were wrong. So don't hesitate to tender your sincere apology to whoever needs it to move on to the next level. Recognize why you got it wrong. The best way to ensure that you don't fall into the same trap again is to analyze why you fell into it in the first place. Was it because you were greedy? Did you trust the person too much when you should have been more cautious? Was it because you didn't do enough findings? Was it because you were impatient? You need to identify what made you fall. Once you recognize the reason you made a mistake, it will be easier to avoid it the next time you find yourself in that kind of situation. It's not good enough to be able to identify where you missed you. You should be able to tell why you made the mistake. You should also be able to tell why you made the mistake. The reason you made the mistake is more important than identifying the fact that you should have done better. When you apologize to the people you've hurt due to your actions, they need more than an apology. They want to be able to tell that you will not hurt them and disappoint them again if they give you another chance. The best way you can show that you've learned your lesson is by telling them what went wrong the last time. Go back to the beginning. Once you have identified where and why you lost clarity and focus, you are ready for the next stage, which is to go back to the way things were before. Retracing your steps will be easier if you practice journaling or any form of documentation. If you have somewhere you wrote your plans and how you intend to achieve them, go back there. Check the things you wrote and remind yourself of the positive emotions you had when you wrote them in the first place. It might not come back immediately, but you'll eventually feel good again as you start doing them all over again. It's not every time that you might need to start all over again. In some cases, you might only need to pick up where you stopped. If you have the opportunity, you should be grateful and should give it your best. Don't be under too much pressure to prove a point because it can be your undoing. Rather, be determined to stay on track. It's not every time you'll get a second chance. If life offers you one, grab the opportunity with both hands and make the best out of it. Implement measures of staying on track. Now that you have the opportunity to reclaim clarity and start all over again, what can you do to stay on track? You need to ask yourself this question and provide an answer to it. If you were distracted because you were moving with the wrong set of people, what are the measures you have in place to ensure that such people aren't found around you again? If the wrong influence came through social media, don't hesitate to block negative people and leave the pages that aren't profitable to you. No influence is neutral. It will either improve your life or make it worse. So, you should always evaluate the kind of influence a person or exposure to a particular experience has on your life. It's when you do this that you'll be able to have control over the influences you allow into your life. No one should come into your life without your approval. It isn't being snobbish. Instead, you are just being selective to ensure that you don't have the wrong influences in your life.